You know that feeling when you finish something you're genuinely proud of? A project, a presentation, a problem nobody else could figure out. And for about 30 seconds you think, okay, they see me now. And then Monday comes, and it's like it never happened. New deliverable, new deadline, new version of the same invisible feeling. And you start to wonder, not out loud, never out loud, if it actually matters that it's you doing this. Or if anyone with the right resume and 2 weeks of onboarding could slot right in and nobody would notice the difference. That's not imposter syndrome. That's not insecurity. That's what happens when you work in a system that is structurally incapable of making you feel irreplaceable, no matter how irreplaceable you actually are. Quick note, this video is educational, not professional advice. If any of this hits close to home, please talk to a qualified professional. Here's what nobody tells you about people who feel replaceable no matter what they do. They call you insecure. You're actually paying close attention to how the system treats people. They call you needy. You're actually asking a completely reasonable question. Does what I do here matter? They call you lacking confidence. You're actually just honest enough to notice that confidence and job security are not the same thing, and that one of them can be taken away on a Tuesday afternoon with a calendar invite and 15 minutes. You're not broken. You're clear-eyed, and there's a difference. Here's the thing. There's a name for the gap between how much you contribute and how seen you feel for it. Organizational psychologists call it contribution invisibility, the phenomenon where individual effort gets absorbed into collective output so completely that the person behind it disappears. Your work lands. Your name doesn't. And over time, that gap does something specific to your sense of self at work. It stops feeling like a bad week and starts feeling like a fact. Researchers studying workplace recognition found that employees who feel their contributions go unacknowledged are significantly more likely to disengage. Not because they stop caring, but because caring stopped producing any signal in return. You kept sending. Nothing came back. And your brain, which is very good at learning from patterns, started drawing the only logical conclusion available. It doesn't matter. But then there's something else happening here. Modern workplaces are built around a concept called role fungibility. The idea that jobs should be designed so that any qualified person can fill them. It's an efficiency principle. It makes sense on a spreadsheet. But what it produces, at the human level, is an environment where the work is valued and the worker is interchangeable by design. And here's where it gets personal. Most performance review systems, most goal-setting frameworks, most "you're doing great" conversations, they're evaluating the output, not the person. They're measuring what got done, not who you had to become to do it. The version of you that stayed late when it mattered, that held the team together during the hard quarter, that solved the thing nobody else wanted to touch. That person doesn't show up in the metrics. And if it doesn't show up in the metrics, the system doesn't know it happened. Which means the system doesn't know you happened. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's a psychological response to chronic invisibility that researchers call self-protective disengagement. And it looks, from the outside, almost identical to not caring. You stop volunteering for things. You do the work, but don't go beyond it. You contribute exactly what's required and hold the rest back. And everyone around you reads this as low motivation or low investment. But what's actually happening is something much more precise. You ran an experiment, repeatedly, over months, maybe years, where you gave more than was asked and watched it disappear without acknowledgement. And you updated your behavior accordingly. That's not apathy. That's a rational response to a pattern. The system trained you to do less by consistently failing to register when you did more. And then it has the audacity to wonder why engagement is low. You didn't disengage because you stopped caring. You disengaged because caring, in that environment, had no return. But let's clear something up. Every few months, some company releases a statement about how people are their greatest asset. It goes in the all-hands deck, it gets a slide with a nice font, and then, sometimes in the same quarter, the same company announces a restructuring, a workforce optimization, a round of layoffs that hits people who gave years and got a severance package and a LinkedIn recommendation that uses the word talented 3 times without saying anything specific. The message underneath all of it is consistent. You are valued until the spreadsheet changes. You are irreplaceable until we find a cheaper version of replaceable. And the cruelest part is that the people making these decisions are not villains. They're just operating inside a system that was never designed to see you as a person. It was designed to see you as a function. And functions can be optimized. Functions can be eliminated. Functions don't have a name. You always had a name. The system just never learned it. Here's what they don't tell you. Feeling replaceable and being replaceable are not the same thing. They live in completely different places. One is a metric. The other is a feeling produced by an environment that was never built to make you feel otherwise. Yeah. What you brought to that project, to that team, to that room at 4 p.m. when everything was falling apart, nobody else brought that. Not because you're the best, but because you're you. And you is not a replicable thing, no matter what the org chart says. The work you do carries something that a job description cannot capture, and a performance review cannot measure. The way you think, the way you hold things together, the specific combination of what you've lived through and what you care about, and how that shows up on a Tuesday when it matters. That is not fungible. That has never been fungible. The system just doesn't have a column for it. Yeah. You are not a function. You are not a headcount. You are not a role that can be backfilled in 3 to 5 business days. You are the person who showed up, again and again, in ways that didn't make it into any report. And that is not nothing. That is, in fact, the whole thing. So the next time you finish something good and wait for the feeling that never quite comes, don't take that silence as an answer. The system's inability to see you is not evidence that you're not there. It's evidence that the system has limits. And you were always bigger than its ability to measure you. You're not replaceable. You're just working somewhere that never learned the difference. Now tell me, are you team, I stopped going above and beyond because what's the point? Or team, I still do it, but I have no idea why? Drop it in the comments. You're not alone down there. And if this video made you feel seen, genuinely seen, maybe for the first time in a while, hit subscribe. We're here every week breaking down the psychology of work that nobody talks about. Because understanding why you are the way you are, that's not just interesting, that's powerful.